Very strong top four with Joshua Trump and Shubham Ranjane. Matthew Trump can hit a good long ball, and then the bowlers who come after that. But look out for that top four, that top five, because they can put runs on the board. And they are playing a fearless brand of cricket, ladies and gentlemen. Even though the Metroplex Tracers are a very young side, those three at the top there have not yet reached 20 years old. Aaron Tamala, 18, Ansh Boje, 19, Joshua Trump, I believe either 19 or 20, but they're all very young, and they're playing with careless and reckless abandon. Starting up against the Kings 11 Dallas, you see their side. Ramandar, Unmuk Chand, new father Unmuk Chand, congratulations to him. Surya Narayanan, Andreas Kaus, Corey Anderson, Ali Sheikh, Amshi De Silva, Sachit Sandhu, Tahabadar. That 10th name, Rishabh Shimpi, is an important one because he comes back into the side, left-arm fast bowler. Feels for the last couple of weeks that they were missing a strike bowler, the Kings 11 Dallas, but they have their left-arm quick back. And so, no idea who's going to win this game, folks. I have no opinion whatsoever. I'm not being political. I literally don't know how this is going to go. Either team has an opportunity to do something special here. I would think there'd be a little bit more pressure on the Kings 11 Dallas side. They're more established, more experienced. Captain Corey Anderson, former Test cricketer. And you'll see that there's going to be, I think, about the most pressure-less situation for the Metroplex Tracers. Brand new squad this season. Did not in any way feature before this, and so they're essentially playing with house money. There on your screen you see Aaron Tamala walking out to bat alongside Joshua Trump, and so those are your openers. Earlier I said it was going to be Ansh Boje. It appears as though Joshua Trump and Aaron Tamala are your two openers, and the bowler for the Kings 11 Dallas side is going to be, as it's been for a number of weeks now, the left-arm orthodox of Obaspinar. So all on tenterhooks, as they say, pins and needles, whatever phrase that you want to use, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a really tight game. You expect that it's going to come down to the wire, and in many ways, it's going to be the team that holds its nerve that is able to take victory and get into the playoffs. Mentioned Unmuk Chand. He has been the wicket-keeper batter for the majority of the season, but the man behind umpire Owen Brown, who's partially obscured right now, is Andreas Kaus. He's the one who's taking the gloves today. So Unmuk Chand will be playing in the field. And by the way, the umpire is Owen Brown, walking toward us right now, and the man walking toward square leg is Partha Patanaik. That's the first time that we've seen Mr. Patanaik umpiring this season. All in readiness. I believe that we're going to have a scintillating game, ladies and gentlemen. Obaspinar opening the bowling. It looks as though it's going to be Aaron Tamala who takes first strike. And you are up to seeing, I think, about the most exciting match that you can see. And again, this one for all the marbles. There is a lot of pressure on, I think, the Kings 11 Dallas side. Maybe slightly less pressure on the Metroplex Tracers. But once the game starts and adrenaline starts flowing, it probably doesn't matter who in the world has the pressure, because at some point you put away the nerves and you play cricket. So it will be Aaron Tamala to take first strike. Obaspinar with the left-arm orthodox. Really good bowler, Obaspinar. Bowls the traditional delivery that turns away from the right-hander, but also bowls a tremendous arm ball that goes in with the arm to threaten the stumps and the pads. So we'll see how he's able to handle things here against Aaron Tamala. First ball on the way. Short of length. I don't know that that's the length that you want to bowl, because there is no protection square of the wicket. Any amount of edge on that ball flies away through that backward point area. So going to probably want him to be playing down the ground. Similar delivery again. This one is going to be a wide. So Obaspinar, leading bowler in the side for the Kings 11 Dallas. 25 overs over the course of 9 matches. Best bowling figures of 3 for 30. Economy rate is excellent, 7.48, and it doesn't sound like an excellent economy rate necessarily, but just think that he opens the bowling, and bowling inside the power play with the field restrictions in place, you have to be spot on with your length. Right back to the bowler himself, first wicket down. So as I said, bowling inside the power play, he's generally very accurate, and this time I don't think Aaron Tamala got that ball anywhere near the middle of the bat. It just spooned off of sort of a leading edge and back to the bowler himself, Obaspinar, who is an excellent, excellent fielder. Under no circumstances would he drop that. First wicket down. None make that 1 for 1. Look at this again. That's the arm ball. And you see that ball hit high up on the bat. That is because the ball is coming in with the arm. And for me, that's hitting probably maybe 8 inches above the sweet spot on the bat. You can't get any power with the ball hitting there. And just the simplest of catches spooned right back to the bowler. So, first blood to Kings 11 Dallas. This, again, is a game for all the marbles. And in that important game, you've already gotten 1 wicket in the first over. Exactly what you want to see if you are a Kings 11 Dallas supporter. And the man who I said earlier is going to be Ange Bolger. Look at that again. You see, if you see that replay one more time, where the ball hits right very high up on the bat. Look at this. There. Very high on the bat itself. And again, no power that you can generate when the ball hits that high on the bat. 3 deliveries remaining in over number 1, but first blood to Kings 11 Dallas. New batter, Ange Bolger. Left-hander, so slightly different challenge here. I would think that the arm ball would feature very heavily to this left-hander. Played into the leg side. They run through for a single. That's the first run off the bat. But it's going to be an interesting decision as to how to attack Ange Bolger, because immediately there's a deep mid-wicket put into position. So looking to protect the boundaries square of the wicket outside of the V, because Ange Bolger likes hitting in that direction. Of course, the regulation finger spinner from the leg from the left-hander, Obaspinar, would be turning into Ange Bolger. That's why you want that extra protection there. Now, Joshua Trump on strike for the first time. Solid batter, Joshua Trump. 3rd leading batter in the side, 220 runs on the season. Average of 31.43. I think he's a better batter than that average would indicate. Strike rate 142. That's, to me, what you expect from Joshua Trump. Hammered, but straight down the ground, Ali Sheik. So a productive over. Excellent over from Obaspinar to start. First over in the books, 3 for 1. Three for 1. Good first over bowled by Obaspinar. Successful one. If you bowl an over, look at this again as we go through the wicket that fell just now. Look where this ball hits. And right here, there. Slow it right there. That's where you see the ball hit on the bat. That's very high. And I don't anticipate that you'll be able to get much power when the ball hits in that spot. So when it hits that head, let's see, might see that again just one more time. There. That's where the ball is hitting. It is so high up on the bat, there's no way to generate any kind of power when the ball hits there. So back to the live action. Oh, first delivery as Rishabh Shimpi hits the deck. And we usually, when you say hit the deck, talking about a bowler, that refers to him coming in and bowling quickly. In this occasion, Rishabh Shimpi actually does hit the deck, tumbling over on his follow-through. So has been out of the action for a few weeks. Rishabh Shimpi had to return home, I believe, from what I understand. But back again, this young 17-year-old tearaway is a really important member of the side. And so statistically, he will not look very... he won't feature among the leading bowlers for the side necessarily. But believe me, he's absolutely an important cog. And the reason why I said he wouldn't feature heavily is because he's missed 3 games. In fact, he's missed 4 games. But even having missed 4 games, he's still number 3 in terms of wickets taken. 8 wickets each for Obus Pinar and Amsha De Silva, Rishabh Shimpi with 6. And then his economy rate, 7.06, to me is also indicative of the type of bowler that he is. So typically opens the bowling, bowls during the power play overs. Tall left armer, very young, 17 years old, still learning his craft, but the tools are all there. And it's going to be interesting to see how they choose to attack Joshua Trump. Deep, square leg in place. Very full, clipped into the mid-wicket area. A couple more runs here. That is Al Sheikh. Excellent work. Coming back, a throw to the bowler's end. Come back for 3. That's excellent running. I'll tell you what, that was really well played and doing well to prevent that ball from going over the ropes. But at the same time, you saw a lot of effort by the bowlers to get through and get the 3rd run. So 2 delivers in. You have 5 runs on the board from this over. I think you'll see in many ways that you want to get the action underway. So Ash Boje will be facing for the first time. At least facing up to Rishabh Shimpi. Ash Boje, very aggressive, diminutive, almost like an Alvin Kalitcharan type of player. I say diminutive, I would estimate his height at around 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in that range. So I mentioned Alvin Kalitcharan, who when I was growing up was my favorite player. Ansh Boje, similar, left-handed batter, very attacking. If the ball is there to be hit, he will put it away. And if it is if it's pitched up, he goes down the ground. If it's square of the wicket, he's very strong on the pull and the cut. So Rishabh Shimpi needs to keep this one on off stump, just out or just short of driving length. In the air. Oh my goodness, my apologies. It's a bump ball. From my vantage point, that almost looked like a shot directly to Corey Anderson, and it did go to him, but off of the bump ball. So just a dot ball. 1 ball remaining here in over number 2. Couple of good overs here to start. So the Kings 11 Dallas are starting out in this match like you'd expect a team that is experienced to be able to do. Cutaway, oh my goodness. Oh, a whole lot of Alvin Kalitcharan in that shot. Standing tall and punching it, absolutely blasting it through the backward point area for his first boundary. Look at this replay again. Standing tall, a little bit of outswing, starting out much too wide from that ball, Rishabh Shimpi. And he absolutely mauls it, Ansh Boje. Lovely looking shot to close out over number 2. End of 2, 12 for 1. Well, that shot woke everybody up. It was a shot of class. 5 from 4 for Ange Boje. Joshua Trump, 6 from 5. First boundary struck on the day. MetroPlex Tracers choosing to bat first. Remember that? Interestingly, in this season on this ground, the team that bats first has an average first inning score of 192. That tells you that this can be batting paradise. If you apply yourself, there's runs to be had. Slower through the air, and it is hit straight to mid-on. Tell you what, that ball, Joshua Trump gave that the type of stroke that you'd think sailing over the top of the ropes that long on. But it's just a very loud dot ball off the bat. I would almost have thought that would have gone away for a big hit. So they're starting out relative. Take a look at this boundary again. Look at the shot from Ange Boje. Look how wide this ball is. But here, absolutely blasting it. And that tells you that the arrogance, and I don't mean arrogance in a negative way. I mean, if you are a batter and you want to make the bowler think twice about bowling that delivery, that is how you play that shot. And it is put away in style by Ange Boje. And I suspect that you'll see a few more of these from him before he's done. In the meantime, a very quiet spell underway here for Oba Spinar. There is coverage in the deep for the bowler, for the batter rather. You want him to play square of the wicket. So earlier in the first over, Aaron Tamala was being incentivized to play straight, but the bowling was, I think, a little too short. This time the field is set for the type of deliveries that are being bowled. Gets it through, and as soon as I say that, he goes short to Joshua Trump, and nobody sweeping on the offside. So those types of deliveries, to me, are just a little too wide given the field. Obviously, if you want to incentivize the bowler and make that the batter to play on the offside or to play square of the wickets, then you have a protection out there. For me, that length is just a little too short given how good Joshua Trump is through the offside. And you want that ball to be pitched up more, especially with the players, the fielders in the deep during the power play, outside or going straight down the ground. Played into the offside here. So this is what you want to see. By the way, look at the captain, Corey Anderson, rolling around like he's 20 years old. Before the game was sort of arguing with himself whether or not he got to bowl today. I don't know if he was going to. Off the back foot, Joshua Trump absolutely hammers this one. Goes all the way for the first 6. So sailing over the top once again, for me, the length is the issue. If you allow Joshua Trump to go back onto the back foot, he will be very brutal. Look at this. I want to see if we can get another look at that, because where that ball pitches is essentially, to me, a hit-me ball. You want that ball to be fuller. Yes, you want him playing down the ground, but you don't want him playing down the ground off the back foot. He's very strong on the back foot, Joshua Trump, and I think that you would have seen evidence of it there. So it was a really good spell up until that point. 24 for 1 is your score after 3. .24 for 1, 3 overs up. Good morning and good afternoon to those of you who are watching this game. In fact, I know for sure that there's some people watching right now in South Africa, and those people watching would include Brett and Candace Trump, who are Joshua and Matthew Trump's parents. And so, Brett, Candace, good to have both of you. Look at this. If you can go look at these, a couple of shots being played from Joshua Trump, and that last one for me was one that is just a little bit too short. You want that ball to be fuller. And going back to Rishabh Shimpi, look at this delivery when he bowls this. That length for me is good if it's going to be on that line. the length is important. If you have the pace of a Rishabh Shimpi, you can drop it short as long as it's attacking the body. If it's short and wide, then you're asking for trouble. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. In fact, before we do that, let's look at this replay again. A little bit of action, but starting off right now with a run rate of 8. And after that single down the ground, you have slightly lower run rate, 7.89. 158 is what your projected score is from here. Anyway, as I started saying a second ago, people are watching from all over the world. Welcome to those watching in South Africa. Great delivery, outside edge and taken. Well, Brett and Candice will not be happy with that, but that delivery is what you want from your left arm, quick over the wicket, creating the angle going across the right-handed batter, finding the outside edge, and that is a huge wicket. That is Joshua Trump. He is dismissed. Look at this again. There is the angle. Oh, that is just absolutely unplayable. For me, it is swinging in, probably pitching on leg stump, but then pitching and leaving, seaming away from the right-hander. That is about the best delivery that a left-handed fast bowler can bowl to a right-handed batter. And Rishabh Shimpi, as I said, I'm very, very high on this youngster, and it takes a special type of delivery to get rid of the imposing Joshua Trump. So 2 wickets down, 25 for 2, and the captain, Shubham Ranjane, I believe, is who's making his way to the middle. Let me get this thought in before I'm distracted again. What I was trying to say, in fact, before we do that, let's look at the replay. That length for me is perfect. Trapping him on the crease and then that slight bit of movement away, dying as it got to Andreas Kaus, but he just does manage to get the glove underneath it. And that is the end of Joshua Trump. So as I'm trying to get to this thought, my friend Joe Hickey, who is watching out on the West Coast, seems to think Devon Conway where I think Alvin Kalicharan. I think that, Joe, that is a reference likely because of the relative age difference between you and me. It's not just the yellow uniform for Devon Conway. But in the meantime, back to the action on the field. Very full, clipped away into the deep. A lot of work, a long run for the fielder, Taha Badar, and he will not get there. It goes away for 4. Looking for the glory ball first up, Rishabh Shimpi, wanting to york the captain, Shubham Ranjane, but he overpitches it, ends up bowling a low full toss, and it just goes away through that square leg area, more mid-wicket area for his first 4, the very first 4 that he faces from the first ball that he's faced. And so Shubham Ranjane is a dangerous batter, and that's probably understating it. He's brutal. I'll go through his figures shortly. Solid delivery. That, to me, is the type of delivery that he should have started out bowling instead of looking for the glory ball. Back to Shubham Ranjane. Leads the side in batting in terms of the runs. 310. Strike rate, an ungodly 170. And an average which is very deceptive. Of course, averages in cricket can be very deceptive, but his average is 103. Strike rate is, for me, the most impressive, almost 170. Great delivery again. That is the type of delivery that I keep talking about from the left-handed pace bowler. That angle that is created on a good length can sometimes have the right-handed batters in trouble. So things have swung back, certainly in the direction of the Kings 11 Dallas, the last couple of deliveries. And in fact, having taken 2 top-order wickets, and you want to get further into this batting side if you're the Kings 11 Dallas, because the top 4 is among the best in the league. Hammered straight for 4. Boy, look at that. Not only did he get that down the ground for 4, Shubham Ranjane, but he almost took out his partner, Ansh Boji, at the opposite end. So look at this as we see the replay. Ansh Boji having to take evasive action. Take a look at this. My goodness. So Ange Bodger probably saw his life flash before his eyes on that shot. 33 for 2 after 4. Interestingly, the last ball of each of the last 3 overs has gone for a boundary. 4, 6, 4 to close overs 2, 3, and 4. 33 for 2 after 4. So the first bowling change of the day, this is going to be Sanchit Sandhu. Bowling from the river end, the southern end of the ground here in Grand Prairie. Last 2 overs of the power play coming up. It is a heavyweight match. It feels as though the points are just about even. Or maybe you can argue that the Kings 11 Dallas is slightly ahead. Look at this again at full delivery to start, and then this next one almost taking out his batting partner, Shubham Ranjane, who is a dangerous, dangerous batter. Strike rate right now, obviously 200. Scored 8 runs from 4 deliveries faced. And Sanchit Sandhu into the attack. So starting out relatively full. You're still inside the power play, so you are going to want to keep the ball just short of driving length. Interestingly, now with Shubham Ranjane on strike from this end, you're going to want, I think, to incentivize him to play square of the wicket, because there's a sweeper on the offside, a curious position, almost like a regulation cover sweeper. Not quite as square as you'd ordinarily see a sweeper. So I'm going to be interested in seeing what the attack is here. And then a square leg in position. So you're not going to want to pitch the ball up. And as I say that, he bowls a Yorker. Might have been the double bluff. But with this field, anything that is pitched up is going out of the park. Number 1, Shubham Ranjane is very strong on the drive. And he's as strong physically, as strong as houses, so he can go down the ground with the best of them. And if the ball is full, both fielders outside the circle, and you still have another 11 deliveries inside the power play. So only 2 outside the circle. Both are square of the wicket, essentially 180 degrees away from each other. So that ball has to be short of driving length. Appeal, and gone! Oh my! I'll tell you what, that is a big wicket. Under most circumstances, getting Shubham Ranjane early is something to pay attention to. But this time, with Owen Brown raising the slow finger of death, he would have thought about for a split second whether or not this is too high. I suspect that that's what the irritability is that you see in Shubham Ranjane right now, but it is dead straight. It is maybe not hitting above the knee roll. So the question to be asked, is it bouncing over the top of leg stump? Shubham Ranjane's reaction there tells you what he thinks about the answer to that question. And he certainly hits him above the knee roll, but Shubham Ranjane was on the popping crease. So he was not forward, he was not sort of in any position where you would have had to consider the ball traveling over a long period or a long distance. So obviously the top of the stumps is higher than the top of the knee roll, but that would be the one thing that umpire Owen Brown would have thought about. I want to see that again, as that replay didn't quite show us the story, but the reaction here from Sanchit Sandhu tells you everything that you need to see. And look at Shubham Ranjane's reaction in the old ABC sports show, The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of Defeat. You saw both of them in that one shot just now. But this now becomes much more difficult for the Metroplex Tracers. That is wicket number 3. You've lost 3 big wickets. Joshua Trump, Aryan Tamala, and then maybe the big fish of them all is Shubham Ranjane. Matthew Trump will be replacing his captain. And all eyes are glued to the TV in South Africa as we speak. Matthew Trump looking to make his family happy here. Down the leg side, and that is the second wide of the day. So umpire Owen Brown having a good long think about that LBW shout. I think the line is perfectly fine. It probably pitches on leg stump from over the wicket and is bowling outswingers. So that ball, if anything, pitching on leg stump and then swinging back to threaten middle and leg maybe. The height would have been the only thing in question. And umpire Owen Brown thinking that that one was probably hitting the top of leg stump. Oh, I'm sorry, yep, top of leg stump. Matthew Trump now off the mark. A couple of runs into the deep. But if you are the Kings 11 Dallas side, you're much more happy with the way that the last couple of overs have gone. 3 wickets inside the power play. Overall run rate is not a bad one, 7.93. But it does mean that this pair has a lot of heavy lifting to do. 3 top order wickets have been dismissed. And Matthew Trump, who is the 4th leading batter in the side, 153 runs for the season. He's going to have to bat for a very long time here. You would think that this pair would need to bat through at least, I would think, to say the water break, I think that's understating it. This pair probably needs to go through over 13, over 14, somewhere around along those lines, and then set to launch toward the back end of the innings. So taking a quick look at this one more time, this is going to be the last ball of over number 5. Things become difficult if you lose another wicket here. They're already a bit difficult for the MetroPlex Tracers. This pair needs to go deep. Slapping it into the offside. A single to close out over number 5. 5 runs come from that over, but the big wicket of the captain, Shubham Ranjane. End of over 5, 38 for 3. Look at that LBW shout. And as I said, I think the only thing to consider is whether or not this is hitting the top of leg stump versus bouncing over. Umpire Owen Brown sufficiently convinced that that would have been hitting the top of leg stump. Matthew Trump, 3 from 3. Ansh Boje hasn't faced in a while, 8 from 7. And Amshi De Silva taking up the attack. Last 5 balls coming up in the power play now. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not they keep the aggressive field that has been set. And confirmation from South Africa. Eyes are glued to the screen. One brother absolutely looked impressive for a while, but was then dismissed. And the other brother is here on the screen as we speak. Off the back foot. Good looking shot. Coverage down there. They will not get to the ball. Racing across the outfield. That is usually you associate big shots down the ground from Matthew Trump. But this is a proper sort of angling the bat to just get it fine of the fielder at gully. That is intentional. It's not off the edge. Just opening the face and getting it to run away down the hill for 4. So, a lot of work to do here for the MetroPlex Tracers, but Matthew Trump is more than a capable batter. And we'll see how he can partner with his young partner to take his team into something resembling respectability. A long way to go. 7.88 is not a bad scoring rate, but for you to be able to get something in the 170, 180 mark, you're going to need to have the type of sustenance, meaning the pair needs to stay together for, I think, another 10 overs or so in order to sort of set the table for a launch toward the back end of the innings. So Amshi De Silva, 3 deliveries into his first over here. This is the last over of the power play. And so perhaps after the next 3 deliveries, we can take a look at the few highlights that have taken place in the power play. And so if you are this pair, you both are very naturally aggressive. Ansh Boje at the top of the order is essentially fearsome with anything too short or too full. Matthew Trump generally comes in after the water break, where there is the ability to sort of cut loose because you only have a few overs left. So he may have to curb some of that natural aggression here because, again, I think it's important that you score quickly, but it's also important that you bat long, and a quick 20 doesn't do you much good here. Struck into the offside. Ooh, look at this. I'll tell you what, the good, clean pickup from Rishabh Shimpi at point. Direct hit there could have been interesting. But it becomes important. Look at this again. Plays it into that point area. Rishabh Shimpi, clean pickup and firing. Oh, I think he just does make it over the line. Ansh Boje, so good running in the end from this pair. And so Amshi De Silva with the last ball coming up here. Last ball of the power play. This partnership has to go long. It is now worth 9. You'd want for it to be worth at least 50 more than that in order to sort of get something going toward the back end of the innings. Yes, if you're coming in later in the innings, you can throw your bat around a little bit. You have the batters down the order. You have Darshan Haribabu, Suvir Gudipati. You have batters who can do some damage, but I think it is or should be up to this pair right here. End of over number 6, 43 for 3. Take a look at the few highlights from the first power play, or from the power play. Look at that arm ball. I think the arm ball was the undoing there of Aaron Tamala. Then a couple of big shots. This next one from Joshua Trump, for me, is the shot of the match so far. But that, to me, is the ball of the match so far to get rid of Joshua Trump. And then Shubham Ranjane clipped one there. Oh, almost takes out his partner. But this, to me, is the biggest wicket in the match so far. Hitting the top of leg stump is what I would think. And Matthew Trump with a couple of good shots, but I think a lot of work for them to do as you go through the remaining, let's call it, last 14 overs coming up. But of those 14 overs, maybe, if you're the MetroPlex Tracers, you want for this pair to stay there probably for 10 of those 14. Going back to Sanchit Sandhu here. Amshi De Silva bowled. Amshi De Silva bowled over number 6. Now back to Sanchit Sandhu for the first over out of the power play. 43 for 3. Just taking a little bit of time here. In the meantime, let's just go through potential projections. 7.17 is the current run rate. That projects to a score of 143. And 3 8s at the bottom of your screen there. Ansh Boje and Matthew Trump obviously still at the wicket. But in terms of projections, 10 and over from here takes you to 183. Remember, the team batting first. Team batting first has an average of 193 in the stadium this season. So that puts you in the mindset of thinking, okay, right now we're scoring at the rate of 7.17. Our projection based on that scoring rate is only 143. We need to get 50 more runs than that. So, and of course, the Kings 11 Dallas are a tremendous batting side. I think if you were to highlight a potential weakness for the Kings 11 Dallas, it would be that they're missing probably one strike bowler, but their batting is absolutely stupendous. And so you'll need, I think, something around 200 before they start feeling pressured. And at the current run rate, and after that dot ball, the current run rate is 6.97, so you're not under a projected score of 140. If you are able to get up to 190, and 190 is some distance away, let's say 11 runs and over from here gets you to 195. That essentially is the range where there could be trouble. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. Right through the hands of deep fine leg. He absolutely drops what I think is a sitter. This is one that has to be taken. That would have been the end of Matthew Trump. Hit it cleanly, but straight to the field at deep fine leg. And right through his hands all day, every day. You take that catch. That will not make the bowler Sanchit Sandhu very happy. That could have been the end of Matthew Trump. What does he do with this life that he's been given? Slapped it. Oh, you have got to be kidding. Corey Anderson. One-handed to his left hand. Matthew Trump gets a life on one delivery and loses his wicket the very next. Corey Anderson with a stunner. One-handed catch. Matthew Trump dismissed 49 for 4. Oh, that was stunning. Look at this again. One-handed. Short extra cover for the captain. Nailed it. Thought this was over his head, Corey Anderson. Oh, look at that. Corey Anderson, full stretch. A one-handed stunner. And the happiest person in this stadium right now is the fielder from deep fine leg. He had to only think about that drop for all of one ball, probably bailed out by his captain. Corey Anderson doing what he needs to do, leading from the front. Matthew Trump, unfortunately, has been dismissed. Unfortunately, if you are watching from South Africa or supporting the team in yellow, that was an absolutely brilliant catch. You have to give it to Corey Anderson. That's one of the catches of the season, both in terms of its difficulty and then in terms of what it means. Essentially, it means that you're now into the lower middle order. And the MetroPlex Tracers, who earlier I described as playing with house money, well, that house money is sort of running short as we speak, because you're 3 deliveries into over number 7. You've lost 4 top order wickets, and now Sanchit Sandhu with a head of steam, a new batter at the crease. You get the sense that the MetroPlex Tracers are in a little bit of trouble here. Wrapped on the pad, umpire Owen Brown not convinced. Oh, and by the way, the new batter is going to be Darshan Haribabu. So other youngsters, just understand, by the way, we talked about how young this team is. All of these names that I'm calling now, Darshan Haribabu, Ansh Boje, Aaron Tamala, these are all players who played in the Houston Youth Premier League, HYPL, just a few weeks ago. So these are very, very young players playing here on a much bigger stage, obviously, but so far I have not seen any evidence of nerves yet. But it also is the fact that once you've lost those wickets, it becomes more and more difficult to launch anything toward the back end of the innings. By the way, that leg by bring up the 50. 50 for 4. Sanchit Sandhu back into the attack. Ansh Boje, who's been quiet for a while, hasn't faced very much, believe it or not. Been out there, came in at the fall of the first wicket, has only faced 8 deliveries, which is a bit of an anomaly. You'd think that a batter coming in at the fall of the first wicket, 3 deliveries into the innings, would have faced more than 8 deliveries when you're into over number 7. So 1 ball remaining here. By the way, our scoreboard appears to be frozen. Darshan Haribabu and Ansh Boje, your batters. Last ball of over number 8. Defended, no run. Excellent over. 7 runs coming from it. 6 from the second ball, and then look at this again. Corey Anderson going airborne. That is a stunner, and that is one for the books. He has taken tons and tons of catches over the years. I'm picturing some from the World Cup last year, and I'm also picturing some from the major leagues a couple seasons ago. Not a whole lot of them will be better than this one. End of over 7, the score is 50 for 4. Some left arm orthodox from the theater end this time, the northern end of the ground. This is Ali Sheikh out of the power play. So fielders in the deep, backward square leg, and deep mid wicket. Interestingly, there is no mid on. So they're looking to tempt Darshan Haribabu to hit against the turn, wanting to see if he can take the bait, try to go down the ground to mid-on with the ball turning away from him. That becomes a risky shot. Interesting chess move here. Goes in that direction, but much square, so goes to mid-wicket. So Darshan Haribabu is going to be asked to help his team do something special here. Has not batted a whole lot this season because of how strong the top order is. When you have Ansh Boje, Shubham Ranjane, Joshua and Matthew Trump, Aaron Tamala, when that is your batting lineup, you don't necessarily get a lot of chances. And then it means when you come into bat at this stage, Darshan Haribabu, he's only had 2 innings so far with a total of 7 runs from those 2 innings. So he's an excellent young cricketer, very aggressive. I would probably say similar to Aaron Tamala in terms of how they approach batting. But he's just not batted very often this season, and only 7 runs against his name for the season. 1 if you, or 8 if you count that single that he just had the previous delivery. So how much does depend on Ansh Boje now? Great ball, extra bounce. Ali Sheikh, brilliant left arm orthodox, brilliant in the field. Ali Sheikh, that's all I'll say about that. And an absolutely punishing lower order hitter. Strokes it past the bowler himself, but can't get it wide of the fielder at mid-off. So runs essentially are in the process of drying up. 51 runs on the board, but just 2 balls remaining in over number 8. Run rate down to 6.65. Lovely looking shot. A lot of work in the deep. 2 more runs on offer here, I believe. They get easily to the other end for a couple. And so, yes, runs have dried up, but you do have the opportunity to look to manufacture some runs. All is not lost. So Darshan Haribabu hasn't batted much, but the man at the opposite end, Ansh Boje, who is now on strike, is somebody who can score runs quickly. Almost drops that one on, though. Might consider himself lucky there. Just 3 runs coming from the over. End of over number 8, 53 for 4. Back to Sanchit Sandhu. 2 overs in the books for him. Sliced away in the air. Will land in no man's land for a couple of runs. So looking to be aggressive here, Darshan Haribabu. And you have to be able to mix caution, and aggression. I referred to that earlier. You need runs. You need a lot of them. I think you need 200 runs. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Is it going to be hard? It's absolutely going to be hard. But the longest journey starts with one step. Running this down the hill. So you've gotten to the point now where the scoring rate, 6.72. 6.72 projects to a score of 134. 134 I don't think is going to bother the Kings 11 Dallas very much. One or two comments coming in talking about the decision to bat first. And the Kings 11 Dallas are a strong batting side, and in fact they've stated themselves that they prefer to chase. So there might be some validity to the question of why would it be that they would choose to bat first, MetroPlex Tracers. But that is all behind us now. You have a game to win, and the mindset has to be we need to find a way from here to score 8 runs and over, maybe for the next 2 or 3 overs, and then to see how we can accelerate towards the back end. Yes, you're a good young team. Yes, you're under pressure, but you don't win this game, I don't think, with less than about 160 runs at minimum. I would think, honestly, if you're looking to see what sort of a score you'd want to make the Kings 11 Dallas sweat to try to get to, for me, that number is about 190. So I keep saying 190 simply because, number one, it's been the average score batting first here at this ground this season. And then number two, because of the firepower with the bat that this Kings 11 Dallas side has, you really want to put yourself in the position of putting a big score on the board for them to chase. Down the leg side, those are going to be free runs. That will help. 5 wides. Going down the leg side here, Sanchit Sandhu wanting to find that ball on the line of off stump, and this is anything but that. So movement off the seam after it pitches. So it started out on the wrong line and then pitched and moved off the seam to go further down the leg side. So these are bonus runs. You'll accept those gifts if you get them. And still 2 balls remaining here in over number 9. Better line this time for me. Just looking to see if you can get that Yorker going the way that it needs to. Didn't quite get the length right. Ended up being a low full toss, but those are the types of deliveries that can keep the batters quiet. So the last ball here over number 9. I suspect that we'll have a water break at the end of 10. A productive over so far. 10 runs coming from it. You need 10 runs and over from here to get to 175. So maybe you, number one, accept whatever gifts you get from the bowling side. And then number 2, see how you can start manufacturing runs here. Might come down to Anchboja's bat. Slower delivery. They pinch a single. Oh, look at this. That would have been very close, but I think they had it covered. So single to close things out. 11 runs coming from over number 9. 6-4 for 4 is your score. Taking a quick look at that single there, pinched at off the last ball. That means Anchboja will retain strike, as it's going to be Ali Sheikh to continue. Things have gone the way that you wanted them to here for the Kings 11 Dallas. I don't think there's any question about that. But the job is not finished yet, and this is played into the deep for a couple. Oba Spinar, the man patrolling out there at long off. But there's a lot now that depends on the bat of Ange Boje. 14 from 17. And in particular, with the left-handed Ali Sheikh bowling, turning the ball into him, I would think he'd be eyeing that huge gap between long on and mid wicket. There's a tremendous gap there. Corey Anderson standing inside that gap. Ooh, gets this one a little bit squarer than where I thought he'd be aiming. Gets it down to square leg. Couple more runs. So, in theory, you get that shot away into the deep in that area I mentioned. There's a big gap between mid on, make that long on, and deep mid wicket. Corey Anderson standing inside that gap, but he's on or inside the circle, just about 20 or so yards away from the bat. You saw the spectacular catch that he took to dismiss Matthew Trump, looking maybe to incentivize Ange Boje into playing in that direction. Down the ground, playing with authority, and as of right now, within himself, Ange Boje, he may realize how important his wicket is to the proceedings. One ball remaining before the end of over 10. I suspect that we will have the water break at the end of 10. Sliced away. That's running away down the hill, and it will get to the fence now. So these runs, you need all of them. And even if it's outside, off the outside edge like that one was, you'll accept it. 4 runs to close things out over number 10. Look at this again. Certainly looking to play that one straighter was Darshan Haribabu, but you'll take the bonus runs going through the offside. End of 10, 9 runs coming from it. The score is 73 for 4, and we do have a water break coming up. Take a short break along with the players. See you soon. Back here in Grand Prairie, MetroPlex Tracers choosing to bat first. Scorecard is not one that they'll be very happy with, but as a dear friend just told me, cricket is a funny game. Anything can happen. Ansh Boje batting alongside Darshan Haribabu, two youngsters, 73 runs on the board. 4 big wickets have already been lost, but the remaining batters are going to be looking to accelerate to the finish line here as Sanchit Sandhu comes on to finish his spell. Bowled all the overs from this end for the last 4, including this one. And so Ansh Boje, 17 from 22. So strike rate certainly less than 100, but it's probably for me less about his exact strike rate right now and more about his ability to bat through the innings. I think if he bats through the innings with a strike rate of around 110, 120, and the others bat around him, that might be the formula to getting something around 170, which is, I think, the minimum that they'd be looking for to be able to challenge the Kings 11 Dallas side. Kings 11 Dallas, as of right now, I think are on top of in this game. 8 extras, not very many of those, but current run rate of 7.06 projects to 141. To get to 170 from here, you'd have to score 10 and over. 10 and over is not overly difficult. It's more difficult because of the wickets that you've lost, but it certainly can be something that these youngsters might be able to figure out a way to do. Oh, look at that, in the air for a while, and then Ali Sheikh not quite collecting it cleanly at backward point, but I'll tell you what, leading edge popped up in the air. Ansh Boje might consider himself lucky that that did not end up in Ali Sheikh's hands. And of course, if it's anything close to him, he'd be able to take that catch. Look at this, looking to turn it away on the leg side, I think. And that leading edge pops up right there and lands short of Ali Sheikh, probably by 3 yards. Just might consider himself lucky there, Ansh Boje. Whipped away into the deep. This is going to just be a single. Rahman Dar is very quick across the outfield, and he covers a lot of ground in that deep mid-wicket area. So you're at the stage of the innings where you're needing to start accelerating, but it feels like the opposite is happening. And I don't want to keep belaboring the point, but something around 170 without that, and with the qualification that cricket is indeed a funny game, anything can happen, but it feels like you need about another 10 runs and over at minimum from this stage. Played away. Rahman Dar having to sprint in the opposite direction this time, coming back for that second run. Tell you what, good throw. Challenged the runner Darshan Haribabu at the non-striker, at the striker's end rather, but he does get home safely. So 1 ball remaining in the day with the ball for Sanchit Sandhu. Good spell. 2 wickets taken and just 25 runs conceded from 3.5 overs. So for me, he is the standout bowler as of right now. Now, I have to finish things up here, and then you start going through the sort of options of who's going to do what next. Tries a scoop shot. Does not get it to go away, and then that's an athletic take by wicketkeeper Andreas Kaus. I want to see that one more time. He probably saves 4 runs here. Oh, my apologies. The different keeper. It is Saqlain Haider who's keeping. My apologies. Missed that. But look at this again. Looking to sweep this one away. It just might have come off the under edge, so not adjudged as a wide. And excellent work from Saqlain Haider. There he is, Saqlain Haider, who is taking the gloves as of right now, Andreas Kaus in the field. And that is the end of the day with the ball for Sanchit Sandhu. He did his job more than adequately. And the struggles continue here for the MetroPlex Tracers. End of over number 11. The score is 76 for 4. So Amshad De Silva has bowled 1 over. 5 runs is what he conceded from that 1 over. So now coming back into the attack to bowl over number 12. You would think he'd also bowl 14 and 16. Then the choices to essentially get to the end here, going down the leg side or looking to go down the leg side. Not able to get much on that one. So Amshad De Silva 1 over. And now 1 ball. Quick look at the points table to remind us of where we are right now. Chicago Kingsmen, top of the table easily. 2 and 3 are the 2 teams playing right now. MetroPlex Tracers, for what it's worth, are the 2nd-ranked team. Kings 11, Dallas 2, or make that 3. Trouble here. Oh, well, if you want to pick up runs, you have to be aggressive. So you don't necessarily mind that. And that ball not getting away very far from the batter, but immediately recognizing the opportunity to steal a run. And it might have been terminal because he almost got tangled up with the bowler on his follow-through. Look at this. There. And there, almost, had that been a clean pickup and a shy at the stumps, could have resulted in a wicket. But, again, you have to take chances. Nothing reckless. But if you have the opportunity to show that you're 18 years old and you can sprint between the wickets, now is the time to do that. So started saying Amshad De Silva, 1 over bowled so far and then 2 deliveries here into his 2nd over. Short. And that is going to be a wide. He bent his back. And once you get the ball that bounces above the head of the batter that is in his normal standing position, by definition, that is a wide. Maybe we can take a look at that on the replay again. Look at this. Look where the bowler himself is here. That's his head, and the ball is bouncing well over the top of that. So that's, I think, a fair call. Number 1, it's a fair call. Number 2, it's also the 1 short ball for the over. So any more of those, and you're looking at a no ball sliced away off the outside edge, running away down the hill, deep 3rd in position. It is Rashad Shimpi. So you have a loose delivery. I say a loose delivery. I don't mind him bending his back trying to bowl a short ball, but the short ball has to be one that troubles the batter. Both of these batters are relatively diminutive. Darshan Haribabu and Ansh Boje probably both around 5'6" or so. And so if a ball is bouncing 6 feet in the air, that doesn't do much good. You want the short delivery to be at about shoulder height or maybe even head height. Anything bouncing that high is trouble. That is whipped away into the deep. A long run for Obaspinar. That is the area that I mentioned that I thought Ansh Boje would be targeting at some point. More so for the spinner, but certainly with a similar setup for the pace bowler. Ansh Boje not shy about taking on that area. And again, it's Corey Anderson standing at short mid-wicket, almost like they're attempting to tempt Ansh Boje into hitting over the top of Corey Anderson, but that time it comes off. It's a very aggressive field, and as soon as I say that, Corey Anderson himself is now dropping back halfway between the edge of the circle and the boundary, and in fact closer to the boundary now at mid-wicket, but mid-on, mid-off, inside the circle. So looking to incentivize Ansh Boje to play on the leg side, short of, the deliveries are going to be short of driving length, you would think. A wave and a miss that time, but Obaspinar is at mid-on, Andreas Kaus is at mid-off, and then there is a sweeper on the offside, square point all the way down to the boundary. Corey Anderson himself is now dropped all the way back to deep mid-wicket. So you're looking to expect Ansh Boje to start hitting square of the wicket. Last ball here over number 12. Oh, going down the leg side. Have to re-bowl this one. So a few wides have been bowled so far. 9 wides. Remember, 5 of those came on 1 delivery. And then you've had 1 leg by. So not a whole lot in terms of extras. The extras will irritate the captain, but as of right now, you're forcing them to do it off the bat, which is what you want to see. Last ball, over number 12. Great delivery. Yorker length. Played back past the bowler, but cannot get any runs for that. Excellent over comes to an end by Amshi De Silva. 2 overs have only cost 11 runs from him, so doing well. 6 runs coming from that over. 82 for 4. A few highlights. That's the first wicket. Couple of good shots. That one there, the one that I phrased as an Alvin Kilicharan shot. This one here over long on for Josh Trump. But that is a great delivery by Rishabh Shimpi. And then the big one for me, after Captain Shubham Ranjane played a couple of nice looking shots. This one traps him right in front. And umpire Owen Brown thinks it would have hit the top of leg stump. And then Matthew Trump did some work while he was there. This is a drop that he would have been buoyed by, but then the very next ball, that tremendous catch by Corey Anderson. And by the way, has to be said, brilliant camera work to be able to get that. Going down the leg side there for 5 wides, and then a couple more runs from Darshan Haribabu. This pair came together when the score was 49. So they're looking to build something here. Right now, 33-run partnership. Looking to see how you can change things around. Obaspinar back into the attack. Oh, quick delivery. Extra bounce too. So gets Darshan Haribabu, traps him on the crease. Obaspinar 2 overs. First over only went for 3 and he took a wicket. Second over went for 12. So he'll be less proud of that second over than it was the first. Loopy, slow, full delivery. So it's giving him all of the different options here, Obaspinar. And as of right now, you've gotten to the point where you're starting to plan the innings the rest of the way. Who is going to bowl when? This is over 13 underway. Obaspinar has 3, this is his 3rd over, so you'll have 1 left after this. So probably he bowls over number 14. I'm sorry, over number 15. Rishabh Shimpi still has 2. Amshi De Silva has 2. Ali Sheikh has 2. So you have several bowling options. You'd suspect, as I said earlier, not sure whether Corey Anderson is going to bowl himself. In the air down the ground. Do you push for 2 here? No. Oh, look at this. It was a fumble, and then they end up getting 2 anyway. So can't have any fumbles, can't give away any additional runs. Don't want to ever get to the point where you're doing that. But ultimately, it doesn't hurt you a whole lot. But what it does mean is that Ansh Boje is back on strike. Take a look at this again. Played down the ground. Very straight. And a fumble down the ground allows for that second run. Skied. Is there anybody close? Long run for Sanchit Sandhu. Can't get to it. And then Reman Dar with a good piece of fielding to prevent it from going over the rope. So a couple more runs here. Did that signal Ansh Boje's intent to start pushing for something big? Have to be able to do it. Have to get something, as I've said a number of times already, something around 170. Anything less than that will not challenge, I wouldn't think, the Kings 11 Dallas. You're down to the last 43 balls, so it's time to make something happen. In the air, simple catch for the bowler himself. Oh my goodness. End of over number 13 may be about the last piece of big resistance for the Metroplex Tracers. That's the end of Ansh Boje. Simple catch taken off his own bowling by Obaspinar, 87 for 5. Goes off the back foot. Tried to drag this one from well outside the line of off stump. I don't know whether playing toward extra cover would not have been a better option there. Look at this again if we get the chance, because he's looking to play this ball well in the direction of, I would think, mid-wicket, somewhere in that range. And I don't know that a better option would not have been to play through that extra cover area. 5 wickets down. Nush Kenjige, long-serving U.S. left-arm orthodox bowler and right-handed batter, joining Darshan Haribabu. So the partnership did minimal damage. They were starting to build towards something, but not able to apply those finishing touches to get something going in the sort of 170. In fact, it might be time for me to stop talking about that because that's now starting to feel less and less likely. The idea now, though, is to say to yourself, look, whatever we put on the board, we have to go defend. And so Shubham Ranjani, and I'm thinking well ahead here. I'm thinking well ahead. There are several overs still to go, another 7 remaining. But when it gets to that stage, your mindset as a bowling side, which is now the batting side, if that makes sense, has to be whatever number of runs are on the board, we need to defend them. And so we'll get to that point eventually. But in the meantime, it feels here like the Kings 11 Dallas are going for the kill. Rishabh Shimpi back into the attack. Left arm, quick. Bowling now to Darshan Haribabu, who has been there for a while. 13 from 14. Nush Kenji at the non-striker's end. Here is the tall left arm, quick. Skied is this wicket number 6. Simple catch for Remandar, wicket number 6. 2 and 2. That is the end of Darshan Haribabu. 13 from 15. Now at the crease, there will be 2 batters, neither of whom has faced a delivery. And the MetroPlex Tracers, this is not going their way. Look at this again. Good height, good bounce. And the lift that you get from a tall left arm quick like Rishabh Shimpi, especially to a shorter batter, Darshan Haribabu, not quite able to get that one anywhere near the middle of the bat. Once again, similar to the delivery to Aaron Tamala. Hits very high up, almost at the splice of the bat, and about the simplest of catches taken by Remandar. 87 for 6. Maybe if you're starting to flick through your options in terms of your objectives, take a look at this again. Rishabh Shimpi already starting to celebrate. I don't know that that was the most well-judged catch by Remandar. Ended up taking it outside in front of his body with his arms outstretched. Took it about knee height. Maybe the coaches want you to be much closer to that to be able to take it at chest height. But doesn't matter. He has great hands. He holds on to it. This, the new batter, Geeth Bolisetti, he's going to be attempting to stave off a team hat trick. Oh, look at this. Intentionally playing it down to deep third. They get 1 run. But boy, things have gotten very, very difficult here in the last several overs. Rishabh Shimpi coming back into the attack. As I said, it feels as though they're looking to go for the kill, to excuse the crude expression. But they want to make sure that this thing doesn't drag into 20 overs if they can get through the remainder of the batting lineup here. Nush Kenjige taking strike for the first time. Very experienced batter, Nush Kenjige, played for the U.S. for a number of years. You've seen him in the major leagues in the last couple of seasons. You've seen him play in the major leagues for MI New York. Featured right here on this ground in the World Cup last year, including that famous victory over Pakistan. Different assignment here. His job may be to draw on all his experience and see how he can manufacture at least a run of ball through the end of the innings. A run of ball takes you to 128 if you bat through the innings. Couple of dots, so that doesn't make things any easier. And if you want to look at projections, once again, the current run rate down to 6.44, projected score there 129. And maybe even if you're not talking about possibly getting in the 190 range, can we do something to get to 140s? 8 and over gets you to 139. It feels like that's the top end of the possibilities from here. Last 2 balls coming up. Short. And yet another good delivery. So Rishabh Shimpi is essentially the attack dog in the side. When I say attack dog, you use him in instances where you want just raw pace. 2 overs from him already before this one, and it feels like he's now back into the attack to see whether or not he can close out the innings. And he has the pace to trouble top order batters. Certainly Nash Kenjige is very experienced, has seen a lot of cricket over the years, but this young man is somebody who's difficult to face. Played into the leg side. Nash Kenjige will remain on strike at the start of over number 15. 14 in the books, 89 for 6. Seeing the wickets that have fallen, really just good bowling so far, has to be said. And anytime you have a side that is struggling to put together partnerships, and when you're being supported in the field in the way that they have here, particularly that catch by Corey Anderson, I think you have gotten yourself into a position where things become that much more difficult to sustain any sort of counterattack. And without the ability to have the counterattack, see that one catch by Rahman Dar. Back to Ali Sheikh. Without the ability to have that counterattack, then it feels as though your objectives have changed, almost like you're looking to bat out the remaining overs. And batting out the remaining overs doesn't augur well if you're looking to find a way to challenge a strong batting side. And yes, they bat very deep. They go all the way down to 7 in this batting lineup, Kings 11 Dallas. And their top 4 is particularly strong. I think you've seen evidence that the way that they can score runs quickly, even though they have not necessarily been a settled side. What I mean by that is that they've had a lot of their players into and out of the lineup. Knocked him over, played back when he probably should have gone forward. Keith Bolisetti will get back to the batting of Kings 11 Dallas in a while. In fact, it may be coming up sooner rather than later, because this Keith Bolisetti going back to a ball that he probably wants to be going forward to, and then playing, coming from, that bat is coming from second slip instead of coming straight down. So you want to be keeping that one in the V, not able to do it here. And that is wicket number 7, only 90 runs on the board. Hopefully we can get another replay of that, because I think it emphasizes the fact that a lot of the batters, when you have a strong top order, it unfortunately means that a top order that gets out quickly can expose the lower middle order and then the lower order if they have not had the chance to bat a lot this season. Look at this again. Look at the replay. Maybe wanted to see that one straight from down the ground, because you'll see where that bat face is coming from. It's coming from sort of second slip, hitting across the ball instead of playing with a straight bat. And I think that was his undoing that time, Keith Bolisetti. And so now you get to the bottom of the lower order, or bottom of the middle order, rather. New batters in. And you've gotten yourself into the position where, as I said a couple of overs ago, you may at this point just be looking to bat through the remaining overs. Just get through 120 balls. Whatever score we get, we have to try to defend. Oh, that was in the air. Ali Sheikh sort of claps his hands in maybe disgust, because that ball was not actually very far away from him. So The new Severe Goodipati is in the non-strikers end now. Nush Kenji get back on strike. 2 from 6. Quicker delivery. Nush Kenji, being a left-arm orthodox bowler himself, would have seen the opportunity to get a single there. He gets the single, he will keep the strike. But the difficulties continue here for the MetroPlex Tracers. 92 for 7 after 15. So Corey Anderson moving the chess pieces around on the board, if you will. Obaspinar bowled his first 3 overs from the river end, the southern end of the ground. Now bowling his final over from the theater end. After this, you have 4 overs remaining. You'd think Rishabh Shimpi would bowl 1. You'd think Amshi De Silva would bowl 2. And you'd also think Ali Sheikh would bowl the last one. So I would think some combination of those bowlers. Unless Corey Anderson chooses to bowl himself. As I said earlier, I got the sense that he did not necessarily want to bowl himself based on the fact that he's been carrying a bit of a niggle. And if he doesn't have to bowl, you'd think he wouldn't need to. This is played in the air. Oh my goodness. Goes for 4. You could see that the fielder, Taha Badar, was in 2 minds. Didn't know whether he wanted to come in and go all out to try to get the catch or be defensive and try to keep that one from getting by him. He kind of catches himself in between 2 minds here and just ends up being caught in no man's land, if you will. And he concedes a 4. That is only the 7th 4 that has been struck for the day. Down the ground, and this is going to be just a single. Thought he was looking for an opportunity to get another one there, but at the stage where you have another 27 balls remaining in the innings, even though there's 7 wickets down, you have to start thinking about scoring runs. Tossed up, Nush Kenji should just get 1 here. And that single gets you to within 1 of 100. My goodness. 100, under most circumstances, you'd want to be at that number somewhere around the 11th or 12th over. Struck away into the deep. That does get you to 100. And coming back for the second, they'll get there safely here. So, yes, you've gotten yourself into a decent position, necessarily needing to score as many runs as you can in as short a time as you can. You're not going to get the big score, but what you have to do is keep fighting. Plays this one down the ground. 10 runs coming from that last over. Bowled here by Obaspinar. End of his spell. Does well. 2 for 30 from his 4 overs. You'll take that every day. An economy rate of 7.5. Came in with an economy rate of 7.48. So that's right in line with what you expect to get from him. Last 4 overs coming up. 102 for 7. So reading the tea leaves, Ali Sheikh is about to bowl his last. So then it feels like Corey Anderson is going to close. Oh, the slow finger goes up. Wicket number 8 is down. What I started saying is that Corey Anderson was going to close with pacers. He may not need to do that if Ali Sheikh is going to keep taking wickets. So the first wicket over number 8 to make that over number 17. First ball over number 17 results in the dismissal of Severe Goodipati. Here we see on the replay. See what umpire Owen Brown sees here. Tossed up slowly through the air, playing across the line. My goodness. Well, if the early decision by look at Alice Sheik. If the early decision by umpire Owen Brown, you thought that there was a chance that this ball may have just been kissing the top of leg stump, well, this delivery here is smashing into middle and leg. So a fair decision there by umpire Owen Brown, and this is essentially signaling, it feels like the beginning of the end. The man coming to the crease is more known as a fast bowler than a batter. Akhtar Shah. Look at the appeal here from Ali Sheikh. That appeal says everything. Yes, no question that that's out. I mean, I think Suvir Gudipati trying to imply that it was headed down the leg side. No such doing. That to me is smashing into the middle of maybe the top of middle and leg. So Akhtar Shah, Nosh Kenji get 5 from 9 at the non-striker's end. Akhtar Shah facing up to Ali Sheikh. Goes past the outside edge. How did that miss either the edge or the off stump? Take a look at this again. This ball somehow had to do something creative to not hit either the stump or the edge of the bat. Look at this. A left-hander's dream. Pitches, straightens, misses the bat and misses the off stump. And this is an under edge that runs down to deep fine leg. As they say, it's all happening. Come back for a second run here, but my goodness, either of those last two deliveries could have resulted in a wicket. Look at this again. Tossed up somehow. Hands to the head for both keeper and bowler. I'll get a run here. Watch umpire Owen Brown. I believe that he was signaling that there's 2 left. So that apparently came off of the bat. 2 balls remaining in the day with the ball for Ali Sheikh. Nosh Kenjige on strike. Somehow gets it past Ali Sheikh. 4 runs from the over so far, but boy, the deceleration is well and truly underway, and I really do believe at this stage, with 19 balls remaining maximum, you just have to try to bat through 19 deliveries. That essentially is the only objective that makes sense the rest of the way. Worked into the leg side. The keeper, Saklin Hader, really quick behind the stumps. Cleans up. Good spell from Ali Sheikh. 19 runs conceded in his 4 overs. He took 2 wickets. And so excellent bowling continuing for the Kings 11 Dallas side. Metroplex Tracers 106 for 8. .106 for 8. Amshi De Silva has bowled 2 overs. He has 2 remaining. He's about to bowl over number 18, so in theory, he could bowl 18 and 20. It would also mean, again in theory, that over 19 would be bowled by Rishabh Shimpi. Corey Anderson, active, very active in the field. He is a man of great experience, in his middle 30s by now, but throwing himself around on the ground like he's a 22-year-old. You saw that spectacular catch that he took earlier that felt like the beginning of the end of the innings for the Metroplex Tracers. They've done well to stay there, to bat to the extent that they have, but they need runs and they need a lot of them. And I don't know that there's any way necessarily for you to manufacture the type of runs that you need from this stage of the innings. But again, as I said several overs ago, I was reminded by a friend that cricket is indeed a funny game. And all you need as a bowling side is 10 good balls and you're in the match. So that would be the thinking the rest of the way here for the MetroPlex Tracers. Slower delivery, good piece of bowling. Do they look for two here? They're taking on, oh, look at this. Oh, you've got to be kidding. Wicket number 9, and that is the most comical of runouts for Akhtar Shah. Boy, no way there was a second run there, but he took off going for that second run, and he is run out by a good 3 yards. Strong throw from Remandar. He's very good in the outfield. Said that earlier. Clean pickup, fires to the bowlers at the striker's end, and that is the end of Akhtar Shah. Look here. Look, here's the clean pickup there by Remandar, and this tells the story. Oh, I didn't quite see it there on the replay, but excellent work with the gloves for, okay, this should show us here. Here's played into the outfield, a clean pickup, fires to the keeper's end, and my goodness, he's out by, I said 3 yards. That's almost half the length of the pitch, it looks like. And Akhtar Shah will have to do his damage from with the ball in hand as opposed to with the bat in hand, because you're now 9 down. There, that stumble tells you everything that you need to know. And it feels like this is the beginning of the end. Last batter is in. Last pair is in. Oh, full toss. Pass backward point. Curious to see how close that was to being a full toss no ball. Take a look at this again, because it's a full toss. Obviously, full toss that is above waist height is adjudged to be a no ball. Umpire Owen Brown at square leg thinking that this was fine. Let's see what he saw here. Oh, no, nowhere close. Okay, so that clearly is not a no ball. Good decision by umpire Owen Brown. Nevertheless, you need a lot of runs. Short delivery, looking to work it around the corner. It's going to be a single. Nush Kenjige getting or wearing that one probably off the glove, it feels like. So Rajendra is the new batter. Arshil Rajendra, 109 runs on the board, a maximum of 13 deliveries left in the innings, but it feels like a moral victory will be if they bat all the way through and face those last 13 balls. Amsha De Silva, Yorker, wrapped him on the pad, on the boots, really. And it goes away. They did not take the single. They had a single on offer. It would have been a leg by, but they choose to not take it so that Nush Kenjige can be on strike. And I do not mind that approach at all. Nush Kenjige can be a dangerous hitter, but I think right now the objective is to not lose the last wicket. And to do that, you have to have Nush Kenjige face the strike as much as possible, particularly with the young man at the top of your screen and right now marking his run-up from the southern end of the ground. Rishabh Shimpi to bowl his last over, over number 19 coming up. So Rishabh Shimpi into his last over. Bowling at Nush Kenjige, 8 from 14. Nosh Kenjige plays the scoop shot very well. I would not be surprised if he were to try to scoop one down to fine leg. Slower delivery. So a couple of dots to start over number 19. When you have the pace of a Rishabh Shimpi and you can run up and bowl it at, my estimate would be low 80s. And then you get a slower delivery at maybe 60 miles an hour. It can be off-putting. It can have you out in front. But I suspect this will be pace on. Oh. Not only was that pace on, it is about the most brutal bouncer that he can bowl Rishabh Shimpi. But he's punished for it. Because again, it's a wide. It's above the head of Nosh Kenjige in his normal standing position. Nosh Kenjige being around 5'8" maybe, and you don't need the extra replay to see that that's bouncing over everything. And then that's also the one short ball for the over, and the others will be adjudged to be a no ball. Slashed away, but straight to backward point. Boy, a ball was racing across the ground, but 3 straight dots, not counting the wide, to open over number 19. You're down to the last 9 balls of the innings. Rishabh Shimpi with a welcome return into the action. 2 for 21, 3.3 overs. Hostile bowling, just what you want from your strike bowler. Didn't quite time this one the way he wanted to. Nosh Kenjige get one. Oh, direct hit from the deep. That is the end of the innings. Oh, my goodness. Brilliant stuff from the deep. Can't see who the fielder. Oh, there it is. It is Ali Sheikh. Not surprising. Not somebody's arm you want to take on. Okay, Ali, I'll now say it. He, for me, is the best fielder in the country. Shows evidence of it here. Look at this. Played into the deep. Ali Sheikh, clean pickup, and from the deep, a direct hit. That is a 60-yard throw and a direct hit at the striker, the non-striker's end. And that is the end of the MetroPlex Tracers. Oh, my goodness. Excellent bowling efforts. 1-1-1 is where you end up for the MetroPlex Tracers. Looking at the scorecard, it doesn't make for good reading. Top score, Ansh Boje, 25 from 33. The next highest score is only 17, Joshua Trump, and then only a couple of other batters in double figures. So you don't even bat out the overs, and I think you needed somewhere around 80 or 90 more runs than what you ended up with. The bowlers, all excellent. Look at that. The only one who doesn't take wickets was Amsha De Silva. Everyone else with 2 wickets each, and the highest economy rate, Oba Spinar, 7.5, and he bowled 2 of those overs in the power play. So, my goodness, a few highlights. I don't know how many of these you'll want to look at if you are the MetroPlex Tracers. A couple of good shots from the top. This one from Joshua Trump. This one here is the best one of the innings for me, but the bowlers came to the party. And a couple of big wickets from Rishabh Shimpi. The batter, the captain himself, did well out there for the time that he was there, but he was dismissed from the short ball, or from that delivery that umpire Owen Brown thought was going to hit the leg stump. This is 6. The very next ball, tremendous catch here by Corey Anderson. And they're just not able to sustain much the rest of the way. You got a few bonus runs there, but just 7 runs, or 7 fours coming from the entirety of the innings, along with 2 sixes. About the simplest of return catches that time here for Oba Spinar. And boy, just not able to sustain anything. Good catch in the deep. This is Rahman Dar, who judges that one probably not quite as well as he would have wanted to, but still gets away with it. And Ali Sheikh coming in to apply the finishing touches. This is a relatively simple one. Trapped right in front. Ali Sheikh happy with that result. And then here, going to the back end of the innings, just not the best running between the wickets. Long distance there between the batter and the non-striker's end. And then the lesson here, do not take on Ali Sheikh. Bang onto the stumps, and that is the end of the Metroplex Tracers. Short break for us. 111 is what they end up with. In order to move on to the playoffs, Kings 11 Dallas need 112. See you in about 15 minutes. Welcome back to Grand Prairie. Can the MetroPlex Tracers keep the Kings 11 Dallas under 112 runs? The answer to that question will be seen very shortly. Captain taking the bull by the horns, Shubham Ranjane. He's their best strike bowler. You also have Nush Kenjige, who I would suspect would be the other opening bowler, facing up against Ramandar and Surya Narayanan. Just to make something clear, earlier we showed the graphic that Unmuk Chand would have been batting, and he's not in the side today. And the reason why he's not in the side, and I said it earlier, for the best of reasons, he is a proud new father. So congratulations to Unmukt and his family, to the addition of their family. And in the meantime, believe it or not, some things are more important than cricket. So showed up with all the intent of playing, but he is now with his wife, who again has just given birth. So congratulations to them. In the meantime, the openers, Surya Narayanan at the non-strikers end. Ramandar, who has been one of the leading batters in the side for the entirety of this season. 4 consecutive dots to start here. Ramandar is, as of right now, the 4th leading batter in the side. I'm sorry, the 2nd leading batter in the side. First run of the day here, courtesy of a wide down the leg side. So, back to Ramandar. In 10 matches, 220 runs, 27 fours, 4 sixes, scored 2 50s, an average of, make that a high score of 61, average of 27.5. Strike rate 111. You will not need anything resembling those numbers to be able to win today's game. You're only looking for another 111 runs in the next 116 balls. Great delivery, Yorker length. And they dig it out for a single. So you need as many of those as you can. I'll tell you what, you win this game in singles. It essentially becomes that easy. There might be one delivery off here, but it's either 2 or 1 balls remaining, 2 runs on the board. Shubham Ranjane, of course, in a cricket match, at least in limited overs match, you are limited to 1/5 the total number of balls to be, or overs to be bowled in the innings, 20 over match. So Shubham Ranjane can only bowl 4, and so a major piece of the calculus for the MetroPlex Tracers, excuse me, is seeing when and where Shubham Ranjane chooses to bowl himself. I would suspect that he would bowl himself up front for 1 over. In fact, right now you need wickets. I suspect he'd bowl himself for maybe overs 1, 3, and 5, because you don't win this match without taking wickets, and your best chances of doing that are with your strike bowler himself, Shubham Ranjane. First delivery faced here by Surya Narayanan is a single. Oh, sorry, it's a dot. So the last ball coming up here in over number 1. 2 runs on the board. You need to score at the rate of 5.79 and over to win this match. 5.79 and over would not, you would think, trouble most batters or most batting sides, and particularly not as strong a batting side as Kings 11 Dallas. Just 2 runs from the first over. End of over number 1, 2 without loss. Excuse me, 110 runs separate the Kings 11 Dallas from a spot in the playoffs starting right here on Tuesday of this week, or this coming week. But you could also say just 10 wickets separate the MetroPlex Tracers from being in that same spot. So, a very long way of saying this game is not done yet, and the man with the ball in hand, Nush Kenjige, is a brilliant, wily bowler. Left arm orthodox, do not have a lot of runs to play with. And looking to see what type of field this is here to the left-handed Raman Dar. Deep mid-wicket, that's Matthew Trump, and the long on. Oh, outside edge found. The ball is running away down the hill, and it will get to the boundary for 4. So there is a slip fielder in position. It is the captain, Shubham Ranjane, but that edge was too fine even for him. Look at this, a very fine edge, and Shubham Ranjane is standing at slip. You don't mind that. In fact, you have to have slip fielders. You have to have catchers in this stage of the innings. You have to take wickets. So it has to be an aggressive field. But the outside edge found, and Raman Dar now up to 5 from 5. Solidly in defense. So it's interesting. Raman Dar is generally a very aggressive batter. And with the left-handed orthodox bowler, Nush Kenjige, bowling to him, you would think that that would open up opportunities for him to score big on the leg side. In particular, I'm looking at that gigantic gap between long on and deep mid-wicket. There is about a 60-degree slice in that area. And there is nobody inside the circle on the leg side in front of square. So it would seem that there are so many scoring opportunities in that area if Raman Dar were to choose to go in that direction. Playing within himself, well within himself. Actually, this is a much more conservative start than I would have expected. Excuse me, loads of firepower to come. These opening batters, even without Unmuk Chand, you would think that there are more than enough opportunities for them to sort of get through this run chase without much fuss. Take a look at this again. I'll tell you what, that was in the air for a while, almost carrying to Nush Kenjige. Potentially could have been the first wicket, but again, Raman Dar playing within himself. Last ball over number 2. Lofting this down the corner, around the corner, for the first 4 that he wants to go in the direction in which he played it. So going down the leg side, the first one that he came in this over was off the outside edge. This time he intentionally plays it behind square, stepping inside the line and helping himself to 4 runs down to fine leg. So good over spoiled from the very last ball, 8 runs coming from it. End of over number 2, 10 without loss. Shubham Ranjane back to bowl his second over. As I said, the job is to take wickets, and that's what you need at this very moment. So it does not make any sense, excuse me, for the captain to hold himself back. No sense whatsoever, because you do not win this game in over number 18 or over number 20, I don't think. I think you take wickets up front, put pressure on the batting side. That's essentially the only choice that Shubham Ranjane has here. Late on the shot. So Surya Narayana not quite getting anything going just yet. Faced 4 deliveries, has not yet scored. Has not batted a whole lot. Surya Narayanan has only scored in 4 matches 12 runs. Been knocked out a couple of times, so his average is 6, but that doesn't exactly tell the story. Just hasn't batted long enough to have a good sense of what he's like. But I'll tell you what, that shot gives you an idea. Driven just wide off mid-off and running away for 4. So it was full, it was there to be hit, but you still have to put them away. Shubham Ranjane getting that one maybe just a little too straight or too full. Yeah, that tells the story. For me, that's right in the slot. And Shubham Ranjane will know that that length needs to be pulled back just a little bit. before that is going to threaten any of the batters. So a bevy of 4 is struck so far. Goes past the outside edge here. So 3 4s. 2 I think went intentionally where the batters wanted them to. 1 was off the edge. But it's already the case that you have fewer than 100 runs to get from the next 105 balls. Here's an oddity. The required rate at the start of the innings was 5.6. The current run rate, 5.6. Required rate, 5.6. All 3 of those equal. Don't see that happen very often. And again, a little bit late on the shot, Surya Narayanan. So he scored a boundary in this over, but generally has not looked as strong playing or attempting to play square of the wicket as he has playing down the ground. So the lesson there for Shubham Ranjane would be to not pitch anything up to Surya Narayanan. Last ball of over number 3. Make that over 3 coming up. And I would absolutely think that Shubham Ranjane would be bowling himself again for over number 5. Here's the last ball. Yet again late on the shot. 5 dot balls and a boundary in this over. End of 3. The score is 14 without loss. Few of the highlights from so far. 3 boundaries, 14 runs on the board. You need another 98 in the next 102 balls. Nash Kenjige about to bowl his second, the 4th of the innings. Matthew Trump down at long on. Deep backward square leg is your other fielder outside of the circle. So only 2 allowed outside the circle for the next 2 overs. In fact, for the next 3 overs, my apologies. Power play being the first 6 overs of the innings. Oh, lovely. That is an elegant shot by Remandar. Will it have the legs to get to the boundary? It does. That is good effort by Aaron Tamala trying to get to it, but not even he, who's relatively flat or fleet-footed. I almost said flat-footed, my apologies. But not even he could get to that. Ball turning away from the left-hander, but Remandar places it well. With the field that is set, that line is probably a lot too wide for that field. And Remandar just expertly finding that gap behind points. Remandar now 13 from 12 balls faced. Surya Narayanan 4 from 8. And it is not an overwhelming ask to get the numbers or to get the target that you need. Down the track, lofting it in the air, Matthew Trump takes it easily. Oh my goodness. So a little bit of a curious innings played here by Remandar. Came down the track and didn't quite go through with the full-blooded shot. Also didn't get to the pitch. And he lofted it in the air toward Matthew Trump. He takes it relatively easily. Look at that. Just really helping that ball in the air more than playing the full-blooded shot. Matthew Trump, who is an excellent fielder, is not going to drop that. The first wicket is down. You do not get to 10 wickets without first getting 1. And you've gotten rid of the left-handed batter, Remandar. The right-handed Andreas Kaus is coming in to join him, or to join Surya Narayanan. Do we have a couple of twists in this match? First wicket down, 18 for 1. Take a look at this again. Remandar, his reaction tells you what you needed to see in terms of what his reaction was. And his reaction, I think, is one that says, we got ourselves close to the end of the line. But that shot for me was a shot of, I don't know, it's less about that specific shot and more about his overall approach, Ramandar. It's almost as though he wasn't exactly sure what mind to go out there in. Much more aggressive feel now. Short cover, shortish point, first slip. Andreas Kaus, solid batter. For me, one of the top 5 batters in the country. I think I've said that on other occasions. 2 fielders outside in the deep mid-wickets, and long off being Matthew Trump. 2 balls remaining in over number 4. Gets off the mark here. So if you start judging where you are now as compared to where you want to be, if you're the MetroPlex Tracers, you are keeping them in range of the required scoring rates, and they've lost a wicket, worked into the leg side. They may look for 2 here. No, they just settled for 1. But on balance, you like the way that this power play has gone. 4 overs into the innings, 20 runs on the board, 1 wicket down. 92 needed in the next 96 balls. Andreas Kaus, 1 from 2. Surya Narayanan, 5 from 9. It is Narayanan on strike. As expected, it is going to be Shubham Ranjane to bowl his 3rd over. He's not happy with that call of wide, but I think that's a fair call. Again, bending his back, getting a short delivery up there, but if it bounces over the top of the batter in his normal standing position, you're looking for there. And that is well over the top. That line, for me, tells you everything, because you certainly don't want to bowl in such a way that wastes a delivery. And that short ball that bounces that high, for me, is a wasted delivery. So in addition to it being adjudged wide, it is also judged as the 1 short ball for the over, meaning the 1 bouncer for the over. Can't bowl any more of those, so it limits you in terms of the types of deliveries you can bowl the rest of the way. So 22 runs on the board, 90 needed in 95 balls. Are there a couple more twists? Can you get 2 quick wickets? And then maybe you put the Kings 11 Dallas on the back foot. They have a lot of experience. They have a deep batting lineup. But maybe the first way to get to 10 wickets is to get another one. And here's Andreas Kaus on strike. This is a major leaguer versus major leaguer matchup. Shubham Ranjane, of course, playing in the major leagues this past season, for the last couple of seasons. And then you'd have seen Andreas Kaus playing in the major leagues for the Washington Freedom this past season. He is a tremendous batter. If you make a mistake in either length or line, he can punish you. Can hit the ball out of the stadium. Don't necessarily need that. Oh, goes past the outside edge here. Nash Kenjighet, first slip. Typically you see Nash Kenjighet patrolling that area at backward point. But they're in attack mode here. The MetroPlex Tracers want wickets. They need wickets. And how do you go about generating wickets? At some point, Shubham Ranjane, if I'm him, I'm rolling the dice and I'm keeping myself on for all 4 overs this early in the innings. Played toward Matthew Trump at mid-off. At sweeping on the offside. You need wickets. You do not win this game. The final score is not going to be where the MetroPlex Tracers win by the Kings 11 Dallas scoring, let's say, 108 for 6. you're going to need to bowl them out. And the way you bowl them out, obviously you have to take wickets. Who is most likely to give you those wickets? I think the two bowlers who are bowling right now, Shubham Ranjan and Nosh Kenjige, may fit that bill. Matthew Trump is an excellent containing type of bowler, not quite as much of a strike bowler as Shubham Ranjan is, but I would suspect that when Shubham Ranjan takes himself out of the attack, that it will be Matthew Trump who takes up the attack from this end. But there's also Akhtar Shah, who is quick, maybe slightly wayward, can tend to bowl a lot of extras, not quite the length or the line that you're always looking for from him. And then at some point you have to go to the other backup bowlers. Oh, look at that shot by Andreas Kaus. Over the top, nobody out there, goes away for 4. So the last ball of the over gets the treatment. 8 runs coming from over number 5. Score after 5 is 28 for 1. Yeah, wide and swinging away even wider from Shubham Ranjan. Andreas Kaus does not need an opportunity or an invitation to play that shot. So, I like the attack. Both opening bowlers bowling 3 consecutive overs. Nosh Kenjige with the 1 wicket that has fallen so far. 14 runs conceded in his over, in his spell. His 2 overs bowled. And staying on full attack here. You get the sense that they're absolutely going to pressure Surya Narayanan, who's 7 from 11, wanting him to hit over the top. There is a short fine leg. There is a first slip. There is a backward point. There is a cover. There's a short extra cover. And there's a short mid wicket. All those fielders are in close to the batter. So putting a lot of pressure on Surya Narayanan. And I'll tell you, with each defensive prod that you see from Surya Narayanan, you get the feeling that the pressure is getting tighter and tighter. So let's see how he handles the next several deliveries. 3 straight dots. And this builds pressure. His strike rate, Surya Narayanan, is down to 50, 7 from 14. What happened here? Appeal for leg before. They're begging for that wicket, but umpire Patanaik is not moved. Still, when all of these dot balls are bowled, you lose or you build pressure. And pressure is essentially what takes wickets. Look at this. Yeah, that's well going down the leg side. That's a fair call from umpire Partha Patanaik. Tossed up. Big wind up and tries to go big, not really getting anything on it. So one delivery here away from it being a maiden. And the Surya Narayanan strike rate now falling much below what he'd like for it to be. Current run rate is down to 4.8. 85 balls needed, 84 runs to go. So you're not anywhere near panic mode yet, but it just gets the sense that there is undue pressure being built. And that pressure essentially right now is because of all the dot balls that are being absorbed by Surya Narayanan. Maiden. Excellent over by Nosh Kenjige. That built pressure. And it is now the case that exactly a run of ball is needed. 84 runs needed from 84 balls. So you are now out of the power play. Matthew Trump, as I suspected, is going to be the first bowler to replace Shubham Ranjan, the captain. Andreas Kaus, 6 from 6. The last ball that he faced was one that he put away expertly over extra cover. You're out of the power play, so you can be more aggressive or more defensive with your field settings, but I don't think that that would be the best thing to do. You concede a runner ball, then you lose this game. So you have to put yourself in the position of taking wickets. Believe it or not, the required rate is now above 6, which doesn't sound like a lot. It certainly doesn't sound like anything that is not achievable, but it's a bit of a moral victory for the bowling side, and you're looking to build on little victories when you're trying to script what at this stage would be a highly improbable victory from their current position. So more changes here. Fine leg in position. Deep square, or short fine leg I should say, inside the circle. Deep square leg in position. Deep extra cover. Everyone else is inside the circle. Here goes Andreas Kaus. He nails this one. Out of the stadium for 6. The first time that lands is 10 rows back. He will hurt you. As I said, if you're not bowling the length of the line, that can keep him quiet. So from that length and that line with the ball going down the leg side, he will have those for meat and drinks all day. For me, that ball has to be outside the line of off stump. The length probably slightly shorter than he would have preferred, Matthew Trump, but the bigger issue for me there is the line. That ball aimed or angled in toward the body and then going down. I don't know if we can see another replay from the stump or the pitch cam where it's going down the ground, but from that angle, Andreas Kaus, look at this, where this ball is coming from. It is going down on that angle from wide of the crease, creating the angle where the ball is going down the leg side to incentivize. Look at this, going down that angle there. That angle, for me, is one that helps helps Andreas Kaus to play an aggressive shot on the leg side. You're going to want for that ball to be more outside the line of off stump. This angle here is more where he should be bowling. I think from that angle you can keep Andreas Kaus quiet. If you're going to bowl it into his body, then he can send you away for runs, as he did there. So that breaks the shackles somewhat. Believe it or not, the ball is still lost. And you've seen that happen in the stadium a number of times. You could not think that it would be possible for the ball to be lost with, it's a white ball, it's against blue seats. So you can't think that the ball would be just completely out of view, but that happens very often in the stadium. Obviously, if we're playing with a bunch of fans in here, then it becomes easy for one of the fans to replace or to send the ball back onto the field. Not quite the case here. By the way, speaking of fans, we're going into the playoffs this coming week, right here in Grand Prairie. The playoffs are going to be in 2 different locations, one in Grand Prairie and one in Morrisville, North Carolina, as we look through some of the highlights here. But all of that to say, the playoffs this week will be taking place between the top 2 teams in the Central Division. That will be the Chicago Kingsmen and one of these 2 teams. And then the top 2 teams from the Western Conference, which is, we'll get those exact teams shortly, but you're now looking at a stadium that is, for me, world-class, hosted World Cup matches in the most recent World Cup last year. There is no cost to attend these games, and they're 2 games each, starting at 2 o'clock and at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and then at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday. So Tuesday, 2 games, and then 2 more games Wednesday and Thursday. The opportunity is there to come watch some free cricket if you're able to. Andreas Kaus working this one. The ball is back. And very strong off his pads, Andreas Kaus. Don't mind that length. And that length, for me, is more appropriate. But the line really does need to be outside the line of off stump. And not too wide outside off stump, because he's very good over extra cover. You saw that earlier from Andreas Kaus. But there is a very thin margin for error, small margin for error, and you're going to have to find a way to not err in either line or length. Back to Surya Narayanan, 7 from 17. Andreas Kaus, 13 from 9. 77 needed from 81 balls. Works this into the leg side. Do they want 2? Andreas Kaus is jogging back for the second run. And so this could easily be academic if you are able to just work the ball into the gaps, pick the singles up, because it's the fact that the required rate is back under 6. So 5.63, you need 75 runs in 80 balls, much of that because of the bat of Andreas Kaus in the last couple of overs. Or I should say the last over, just 9 runs from the over already with 1 still to come. Make that with 2 still to come, my apologies. And so now you're in the position where you need as many runs as you can, but you also need to not appear to be panicking. And what I mean by that, as a batting side, you can bat within yourself like Ramandar did, but it felt like he was batting too much within himself, Ramandar, and ended up holding out into the deep. My sense is that your natural game is what you should play, whether you're chasing 111 to make that 112 or 212. And you're to the stage now with just 1 ball remaining in over number 7. 9 runs already on the board. You're starting to lose the plot just a little bit. Looks to crash this through the leg side. You've seen him late on that shot a number of times already, Surya Narayanan. Up to 9 from 20, so his strike rate is 45. Probably something that is of a concern. End of over number 7, scores 37 for 1. $37 for 1. Surya Narayanan, 9 from 20. So some pressure built there. Andreas Kaus, let's call him the pressure reliever, 13 from 9. And this becomes an interesting move, change in bowling. This is going to be Arshil Rajendra. Interestingly, the scorecard says Joshua Trump 1 from 9. And it's not Joshua Trump who is the bowler. Joshua Trump is behind the stumps with the gloves. So that should probably get corrected sometime. So Arshil Rajendra is the bowler, leg spinner. Looking to take the ball away from the 2 right-handed batters. Oh, very short. Work past the bowler himself. I'll tell you what, that was short, but not a lot of bounce in that delivery. It's the type of delivery, that length, that Andreas Kaus would love to put into the seats over at deep mid-wicket. On the ground, 1 bounce, 2 bounces to long on. So 3 straight singles to open up over number 8. And again, singles win you this game relatively easily. 72 runs needed, 75 balls remaining, 9 wickets in hand. Those all point to a pretty straightforward victory by the MetroPlex Tracers. You absolutely need wickets. I'm sorry, to the MetroPlex Tracers. I actually meant the Kings 11 Dallas, and that's why that shot that you just saw, haven't seen that from Surya Narayanan very often, but that is his first 6. Opens up his shoulders, goes big, wide of long on, and getting it in that gap over there for 6. So a big shot, first shot played in anger by Surya Narayanan. Looks to work this off the back foot. I've seen him late on that shot a number of times, both from the spinners and the pacers. But that shot there takes off a lot of the pressure. Just 66 needed now in 73 balls. Slapped, didn't quite hit it cleanly. Maybe look good for him that he didn't, because that might have gone into the hands of Shubham Ranjan at short cover. 10 runs coming from the over. The first signs from Surya Narayanan that he is looking to push on with things. End of over number 8. The score is 47 for 1. Once again, just looking at a few highlights. Ramandar failing with the bat today, and that's his dismissal. Matthew Trump with a really well-judged catch. Those are not easy. That was a skier. But I think you've seen evidence that this batting pair is looking for damage, and see that one from Andreas Kaus, and then that other shot from Surya Narayanan, think just indicating that they're ready to push on. So another change in bowling. And this really does feel like a roll of the dice. Aryan Tamala, he's a wonderful spinner, but he's an off spinner. So turning the ball into the two right-handed batters. It's in the air. Is it catchable? It is not catchable, but that's a good piece of fielding in the deep by Matthew Trump. They just settle for 1 run. It's interesting because, again, you're turning the ball into the right-handed batters. So in theory, that is to the advantage of the batters. And this is tossed up, but not quite getting the bat on that to the extent that he would have needed to clear the ropes. I would think that Andreas Kaus would love to see this ball turning into him. And we'll see exactly how Aryan Tamal is able to do here. That is a false shot. Is he getting away with it? He will get away with it. Couple of runs. It's a good piece of work in the deep by Darshan Hari Babu, but he induced that false shot. So sometimes these things add up in such a way. Look at that. He kept it very wide. As you look at the replay, that ball was well wide of off stump, just inside the wide line. And that's probably why it was mishit by Andreas Kaus. Tried to take him even wider this time. You see what he's trying to do, trying to incentivize Andreas Kaus to hit from outside with that ball very far, wide outside the line of off stump. Dragging this one down the ground. Nashkenjige in the hot seat, if you will. One of the best pairs of hands on the team. One of the best pairs of hands in U.S. cricket. So you've now gotten 3 legal deliveries into over number 9. By the way, did not acknowledge it. The 50 came up earlier in this over. Looks to play it off the back foot. Gets away from the keeper. Let's see what the signal is here. Oh, that was at an edge. No signal from umpire Owen Brown. So this may have been an edge. Take a look at this. Ooh, kind of hard to tell there, but if it was an edge, it was a very thick edge, because you could see there that the ball sort of hit Joshua Trump on the thumb. Very full and again very wide. So he's trying to incentivize Andreas Kaus to play on the offside. Cannot get the ball too straight to him. He will go big and he will punish you. So it's going to be up to Aryan Tamala, who again is, I think, in a bit of a tricky situation here, bowling to 2 right-handers. Andreas Kaus down the ground. That is 6. Huge strike. And that is yet another 6 off of the bat of Andreas Kaus. So he's trying to get him to play on the offside, trying to get that ball wide of off stump. But look at the line on this ball. Where is this? It's still dragged from well outside the line of off stump. A matter of fact, that ball might have been adjudged as a wide had that gotten by. But Andreas Kaus still muscling that one down the ground for his second 6. And there it goes another time. This is 6 more. So maybe you've gotten to the point where you're tired of scratching around and you're looking to finish this thing in style. Kings 11 Dallas, end of over number 9. Look where that ball is dragged from, outside off, and then look at this next one, a little straight and played down the ground. So consecutive sixes end over number 9. 19 runs come from the over, and that required rate all the way now down to 4.18. The last 66 balls, 46 runs needed. We always knew it was going to come down to the productivity that you'd get from your change bowlers. Both opening bowlers were brilliant, Noshkenjige and Shubham Ranjane. But so far, you're losing the plot a little bit with the the change bowlers. One over bowl from Aaron Tamala. That the last over that you saw went for 19 runs. Ashur Rajendra has only bowled one over so far, went for 10. Matthew Trump's over, the one over bowled, went for 9. So runs certainly coming at a faster rate now than you're comfortable with, and that will not help. That's 4 more into the gap at long on, at least wide of long on. Goes away for 4. Surya Narayanan now up to 23 from 28. Look at this, dragging this ball from outside the line of off stump. You don't mind that line. The length might have been just a little full, but in any event, you're marching forward to what seems like a pretty straightforward victory here. Kings 11 Dallas. 1 wicket lost, Ramandar, but everything else is going in the direction that you wanted to for the last few overs. 3 balls coming up here in over number 10. 41 runs needed. I suspect that we'll have a water break at the end of this over, so 3 more balls. Andreas Kaus up to 30 from 15. Surya Narayanan 24 from 29. Off the back foot for 6 more. Oh, did he drill that? He absolutely launches it out of the stadium. Andreas Kaus continues. That is the 5th 6 of the innings. 3rd hit by him, Andreas Kaus. And off the back foot, he's very, very strong with that shot, really down the ground in any direction. And with that 6, you only need another 35 runs before this game is finished. Reserve or replacement ball coming onto the field, I believe, because that last ball is out of the stadium. And in fact, we may end up just taking a water break here. There is a designated water break at the end of over 10. It appears as though we're taking it early. Well, we're not end of the over yet, but coming up on the water break, 2 balls remaining over number 10. The score is 77 for 1. Well, if you're a MetroPlex Tracers fan, you have a lot to be proud of where you've been this entire season. This is your first season in existence. You've come a long way, come all the way to playing in the 2 versus 3 play-in game, or the eliminator game, if you will. But it feels like the writing is on the wall here. 2 balls remaining in over number 10. 35 runs needed for victory. Another short delivery, and it's 29 runs needed for victory. You cannot bowl that length to Andreas Kaus. He will absolutely slaughter you. That is 6 down the ground. He's now up to 42 from 17. You want to be pitching up to Andreas Kaus. It is better for him to drive you down the ground for 6 than to be able to play you off the back foot. He is absolutely strong from the back foot, and at that length, whether the ball is turning away or in, it is something that he will cash in on every time. Just 29 runs needed for victory. And by the way, didn't acknowledge it when it came up. The 50 partnership is now up. The partnership is now up to 65. 65. Most of that contributed from Andreas Kaus, 42 from 17. 1 ball remaining here in over number 10. Replacement ball has been delivered. And if I am Arshil Rajendra, I am asking Andreas Kaus to drive this ball down the ground as opposed to going off the back foot. He will continue doing that all day if you allow him. That's even better, but it still goes away for 4 over extra cover. There is no stopping Andreas Kaus when he's in this mood. 21 runs come from over number 10. And it's just a matter of what the final margin of victory is going to be. 87 for 1 after 10. "87 runs on the board, just 25 needed." Kings 11 Dallas appear to be on the verge of booking their ticket into the playoffs this coming week. Looking at this couple of replays again, that shot from Surya Narayanan told the story, and then Andreas Kaus, a couple of huge shots off the back foot, and then this one over extra cover for 4. Just a matter of deciding or understanding what the final margin of victory is going to be. Akhtar Shah now into the attack. Down the leg side. So just 4 6s or 6 4s or anything else. Any other combination of runs that add up to 24 is what you have remaining as a target. So we talked about the fact that the playoffs are coming up this week. Maybe we can go through the remaining time that we have here in this match and look at what that schedule is going to be. Akhtar Shah, short, played into the offside. Surya Narayana now 25 from 30. Strike rate for him now up to 25. Oh, sorry. My apologies. 75. Take a look at what the schedule looks like this coming week. Assuming that this is going to be a victory for the Kings 11 Dallas. They will play 2 o'clock on Tuesday right here in the stadium against the East Bay Blazers from California. Again, this matchup in this match, the series, playoff series, if you will, is going to be between the Central and the West teams. And then the series in Morrisville, North Carolina is going to be between the South and the East teams. So on Tuesday, 2 o'clock, East Bay Blazers against, we assume it's going to be Kings 11 Dallas. And then 7 o'clock Tuesday night, Silicon Valley Strikers against Chicago Kingsmen. On Wednesday, Silicon Valley Strikers against the, again, we assume it's going to be the Dallas, Kings 11 Dallas. And later on that evening, East Bay Blazers against the Silicon Valley Strikers. Oh, my apologies. Chicago Kingsmen versus the East Bay Blazers. And then on Thursday, East Bay Blazers against the Silicon Valley Strikers at 1 o'clock. And the Chicago Kingsmen versus the Dallas Kings 11 Dallas later that evening. So a very long way of saying, and I didn't say that very cleanly, my apologies, but 2 playoff matches each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, between the top 2 teams in the West and the top 2 teams in the Central. And the winner of each of those divisions goes through to the final in the Church Street Park in Morrisville, North Carolina. In other words, you'll have the Pacific winner. The Pacific winner will be the winner between the 2 Western teams and the 2 Central teams. And then the Atlantic winner is the winner between the 2 South teams and the East teams. Long way of saying, a lot of cricket coming up this week. You'll find a lot of it right here in Grand Prairie. So if you wanted to see minor league cricket for the rest of this year, you have 3 more days in which to watch it. Doubleheaders on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. So once again, if you're anywhere near Grand Prairie, Texas, in the Dallas area, come on out and watch some cricket for free. And if you're not able to watch it in person, feel free to follow us on the minor league cricket or major league cricket YouTube channel, which is probably where you're watching this game right now. That is a good over eventually from Akhtar Shah. Just 5 runs coming from it. One of those 5 runs being a wide. And so just another 20 needed in the last 9 overs. So 20 shots here from the bat of Andreas Kaus. That 6 was a brilliant one, and then going big straight down the ground. This length here, somehow managed to hit that one for 6. And then these last 2 crunching off the back foot straight down the ground. Shot that it plays well over extra cover here. So for me, easily one of the better batters in the country. Said that a couple times already. Matthew Trump back into the attack. That doesn't go quite where Andreas Kaus was looking to play it. And in fact, straight to short third. Almost got himself in trouble there. Andreas Kaus almost got caught in no man's land. Not a clean pickup at short third, but lives to fight another day. 1 over ball by Matthew Trump. And once again, the scorecard says J Trump. It should be M Trump. Matthew Trump's first over going for 9. We'll see what he's able to do here the rest of the way. But last 5 balls coming up in his over. Slower delivery. Straight down the ground and put down. Oh, I believe it went for either 4 or 6. The fielder running across from long on, not able to catch it. Put both hands to it. Got both hands to it. But it goes away for, I believe, signaled as 4. So not very much chance in winning this game, but those half chances have to be taken if you're going to capitalize on the opportunity to win, as slim as it might be. Straight down the ground. Here's a fielder coming from the left of your screen. Got both hands to it, not quite able to finish. And then another big shot. This one lands just inside the rope at deep mid-wicket. Andreas Kaus is on a charge. Up to 50, by the way. We did not acknowledge it when it came up, but Andreas Kaus with a 50, big 50 in a pressure situation, and now only 2 strikes away from victory. 100 is up with that 4, by the way. And so with the 100 up, partnership worth 82. It's just a matter of finding a way to score 12 more runs in the next 51 balls. Pretty sure that that's a pretty straightforward ask for most teams, with 9 wickets in hand nonetheless. And I think on balance, even though the MetroPlex Tracers have had a brilliant season, it's probably difficult but not complicated for them to acknowledge the fact that they were not the best team on the day. 4 more runs behind point to Andreas Kaus. He now moves up to 60 from 25. 3 consecutive fours. He's taking Matthew Trump apart here in this over. And just slashing that one, not getting that one anywhere near where he was looking to play it. I think he was trying to play that over the covers. Thick outside edge, so that's a good pace of delivery from Matthew Trump. But when you're in this type of mood from Andreas Kaus, it appears as though anything that you do works out the way that you want it to. And with the last 2 balls coming up in the over, does he try to finish it in style? Slammed away. There's protection out there. So just another 7 runs needed. And you get the sense that one way or the other, this game ends within the next handful of balls. I say one way or the other. There's no way that the MetroPlex Tracers can win in the next handful of balls. It's absolutely possible for the Kings 11 Dallas, the way that they've gone in the last few overs, to make that a reality. 68 runs have scored in the last 5 overs. Brilliant assault here by this batting pair. And it will be Andreas Kaus to start, or to take strike, to start over number 13. End of over 12. 13 came from over 12. And a few more shots here we see from Andreas Kaus. 50 runs on the board. As of right now, he's in the 60s and looking dangerous. And I think you'll see the evidence if you don't get the ball in the exact right place to him. If it's too short, if it's too full, he can punish you either way. As I said earlier, I preferred to see him, or to see the bowlers bowl full to him to make him drive down the ground. But that evidence shows where you're essentially looking to hit as much as you can. Really, this feels almost like warm-up for the playoff round to come. 105 on the board, just 7 runs needed. And for what it's worth, there's going to be Ansh Boje. You've seen him with the bat earlier. He's a left-handed batter. He's a right-handed slow bowler. I believe he's the leg spinner. But bowling here to Andreas Kaus, who will probably be looking to take 1 or 2 deliveries to end this game. Down the ground. Interestingly, he turns down the single. Not sure exactly why he did that. He's on 61. Oh, it's a no ball. Oh, missed it. It was a no ball. Oh, my goodness. So, a no ball. Andreas Kaus wants to be the one to take the free hit, and who can blame him? 6 needed for victory. He gets to face a free hit here. One guess where this ball is going. Full toss, gets the treatment out of the stadium. That is the end of the game. Victory for the Kings 11 Dallas. They punched their ticket to the playoffs. The Super 8s are set right here, at least for this division. The top 2 teams in the Central Division are the Chicago Kingsmen and Kings 11 Dallas. This is the free hit. That's another no ball, actually. And of course, it's all academic at this stage because that shot ended the game. But for what it's worth, it would have been a second no ball. But victory for the Kings 11 Dallas by the margin of 9 wickets. You don't mind that at all if you are the Kings 11 Dallas. Domination from the bat of Andreas Kaus, and to a much lesser extent, his batting partner Surya Narayan. And looking at the MetroPlex Tracers, that gives you what they did when they batted. Only able to score 111 runs. I don't think that there's any way realistically that would have been enough to challenge the Kings 11 Dallas batting side. As powerful a batting side as they are, they only went 1 deep. Only lost Remandar and didn't need the other big guns down the order. The Corey Andersons, the Obus Pinars, and the others to come. And look at the card that you just saw here. Surya Narayanan, 26 from 33. Remandar 13 from 13, but the story for me, Andreas Kaus 67 from 28. Tremendous effort with the bat from Andreas Kaus, and victory for Kings 11 Dallas by the margin of 9 wickets. So that, ladies and gentlemen, as exciting a match as we had last weekend, the one that went to super over, this one is, I think, a little bit more straightforward, a lot more one-sided. MetroPlex tracers, the bowlers, I think all were more expensive than they needed to have been, and ultimately, without the opening bowlers obviously, but the support bowlers not quite up to the task. Here are a couple of highlights going down again. You saw Remandar with a couple of shots, and the opportunity to score the runs that they needed presented themselves after you've got through the opening bowlers. The opening bowlers were excellent, Nashkenjige and Shubham Ranjane, but after that it was the Andreas Kaus show. That 6, I think, signaled his intent. And then even joining the hitting party that time, Surya Narayanan, and these next few shots, including these down the ground, absolutely strong. And then this next couple straight down the ground off the back foot. You have got to get him playing straight and playing on the front foot, but either front or back foot when he's in this kind of mood. Andreas Kaus, not a lot that you can do to prevent him from scoring heavily. So he brings up his 50, and then it's just a hitting party. The last 5 overs generated 68 runs, and then 6 off of the last ball to win the match by 9 wickets. Kings 11 Dallas are in the playoffs. Excellent season for the MetroPlex Tracers comes to an end. The youngsters will know that they have a lot to be thankful for, a lot to build on. But for right now, it is the end of the season for them. It will be the Kings 11 Dallas and the Chicago Kingsmen representing the Central Division in the playoffs starting this week. Once again, for the final time, if you are in range of the Grand Prairie, Texas area, these matches to attend are completely free. Come on out, watch some good cricket going into the Super 8s this coming week. Join us then. Good night and good luck.